Well, hello again and welcome to my kitchen. Today my guest is Christine. Thank you very much for coming.
You're welcome.
You're going to be the guinea pig.
My pleasure.
We're going to be tasting some sweet and some savory version of a similar concept. I will call them festive roses. A bit of pastry, a bit of bacon, a bit of onion in one, and a sweet version for dessert in the other.
Beautiful.
So, to start, while we're working away, I've made a little appetizer for you. There you go. Mushroom stuffed raviolis with a fennel vinaigrette and a bit of arugula, tomatoes. Enjoy that while we're working away here.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to start with sauteing some bacon and some onions because we want that to cool down before we mix it into our other ingredients. In this case, because it's going to be a filling spread on a butter pastry, you want to make sure that you cut your bacon in very small pieces. We don't want it to have a lot of texture. We don't want it to be chunky in there because it'll get in the way when we roll the pastry, and you'll see what I'm talking about in just a few minutes. I always like cooking with bacon for the simple reason that it makes everything smells so good.
Bacon makes everything taste good.
It does, doesn't it? I'm using a maple flavored smoked bacon here that I've come to like quite a bit. It adds that extra little touch. And when we talk about maple flavor, maple syrup, you know a thing or two about that because I have my very own bottle of maple syrup from you that you make.
Yes.
Well, I've never, maple syrup in my heritage isn't a big thing. I grew up not knowing maple syrup at all.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first came to Canada a long 30 years ago, that was new and exciting to me. And it never really did too much for me until I started tasting the real maple syrup. Mm-hmm. And the darker, the better for my taste.
Yeah.
It was just such a difference between store-bought commercial product,
yeah.
And I assume there's other ingredients in there, I'm not sure. But in that, your maple syrup is just, I could just drink that from a spoon.
Oh, we do.
Beautiful. You do. It's beautiful.
A little bit in my coffee and one on the spoon and
really?
in the mouth every day.
Apples, you just wash them. And you don't need to peel them. You actually don't want to peel them because that beautiful red skin, that's why we're using a red skin apple. You can use a Red Delicious or a Macintosh, whatever you like. You just cut the core out. So we'll do the halves. And once that core is gone, we'll slice them thin, not paper thin, because as you all know, they break easily once they're very, very thin, but thin and even if you can. Crosswise. Now, I don't use my microwave very much, but in this case I will. And we're just going to fill a bowl about halfway with water. Put the apples in. We're going to add some lemon juice to that. And we'll steam those in the microwave.
And what's the purpose of the lemon juice?
The lemon juice, well, it adds a little bit of flavor to your apples. It also, of course, keeps them from turning brown when they sit and cool down a little bit because you don't want them hot. They're really hard to handle when they're hot. And as soon as apples are exposed to air when they're cut open, they turn brown, they oxidate. So the lemon juice helps. And here we go, and in the microwave. And I should be stirring that bacon in the meantime. Can you smell it?
Yep.
It's getting there. I can smell the maple in the bacon too. It's beautiful.
The pasta's wonderful.
Oh, good. I'm glad you like it. You're going to like that we don't have to peel the potatoes at all. We're just going to slice those. And because it's easier to get even slices, you can use a little mandolin for that. You want to watch your fingers, you probably have done this.
Yep. I love my mandolin.
The potatoes will do thinner than the apples. Now this should give us enough. And they will go in boiling water for literally seconds. I would say just under a minute, because they go soft very quickly. So the potato slices are now ready. You want to get them out of the water before they go too soft. So the paper towel underneath will help to get them dried off a little. Our bacon is ready. And there we go. We'll bring that over and get started assembling the recipe. So let's bring our apples, our bacon, and the potatoes.
The kitchen smells fabulous already.
Doesn't it? Yeah. Baking and cooking both are just so heaven. And eating too. Eating it, tasting it. Let's just hope this turns out so we have something to get happy about. Pastry. I'm using butterpuff pastry that I buy frozen. Make sure you buy a good quality one. It is really, really easy to work with as long as you give it enough flour so it doesn't stick. Because once it sticks, nothing's going to stay in shape and you're not going to like it. So all we need to do with this is take it off, put it down on a bit of flour, add a little bit of flour on top as well so that your rolling pin doesn't get stuck. You can always shake some of that off later on. And we stretch it just a tiny bit.
And the purpose is just to make it thinner?
Well, the purpose really is just to get my 6 portions out in the size that I want. And the thinner it is, the more delicate the rose is going to look. We'll cut this in 6 pieces. Start in the center, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now on the sweet version, it's a very simple, straightforward one, and I'm going to give you 2 different versions of it. One will start with a jam. Just pick your favorite jam or jelly. I have an apricot and passion fruit jam here that I just love. Just for you, because you're the maple syrup expert, we're going to do the other 3 with your maple syrup.
So really, the sky's the limit.
Oh, anything.
What do you like?
Any flavor you like. As long as you stay nice and flat, you don't go chunky in it, because when you roll it up, you don't want all these bumps in between your what's later going to be your leaves.
Right.
We'll brush that on a little bit. We can, if you want to, we can add some almonds. Raisins?
Sure.
You like raisins?
Yep.
We'll try some raisins. I think they'll forgive us if we have some, not too
They're
many.
not going to say they're not too bumpy.
I hope not. We'll see how it turns out. And this is really the beginning of something easy. The reason why it's going to turn out and look like a little flower is we'll put these slices slightly overlapping with the red skin sticking out. We don't want too many because it becomes hard to roll it up. The apples are sweet enough, so I'm not adding any sugar. If you like cinnamon, this would be the time to sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon on the apples. Again, I think cooking, baking, it's all preferences. Recipes are your inspiration, what you look at to think of, oh, I could do that with this, and then you just do your
Cinnamon is
version
probably
of
the,
it, right?
the spice I use the absolute most. Maple syrup
Do
and
you?
cinnamon
Mm-hmm.
we put in just about everything. I made a caramel sauce the other day
Oh,
because we have fresh apples, and
yes.
Mom said, you know, we should just put a little sprinkle of cinnamon. Well, I'll tell you, that was the best caramel sauce.
In the caramel sauce, really?
In the caramel sauce.
I haven't tried it.
And with the fresh apples dipped in, it's beautiful. I couldn't
I'm,
believe how much just a little wee bit made.
I'm very careful with cinnamon because
It's strong.
I dislike it when it pops out. But we make an applesauce from the few apples we have in the garden. And just a hint of cinnamon makes all the difference. But as soon I find as there's the real cinnamon flavor popping out, I'm not enjoying it as much. So I'm very cautious with that. So we've buttered a muffin pan, and I'm just gonna take this gently and roll it up. You wanna roll it up pretty tight without allowing the dough to stretch a lot. And you'll see that the bottom can get a little messy, so you want to fold that in to try to keep the jam inside. So here's the rose effect,
beautiful.
which will be much nicer, visibly nicer once it's baked, because the puff pastry will expand. The apples will caramelize a little bit, but the red skin gives you the definition of the flour. So this is all there is to this.
Wow.
So let's just finish a couple. We'll bake them off. And then I'm going to show you how you can turn this into a savory dish. And I love making this as a side to a nice dinner rather than a potato. It doesn't have to be a holiday. You make it for your family, they're going to love it, love you for it, right? So there's one. I'm curious what you're going to like better, the plain apple and apricot passion fruit or the maple syrup with the nuts.
You always have such beautiful linens.
Oh, thank you. You know, it's one of my obsessions. I think I confessed that before.
I have heard that.
Yes, whenever I travel, I try to find old antique linens. This actually, I've had this for a long time. I have a few of those. I picked them up at some flea market in Provence years ago. So you see the raisins don't bother because I didn't overload it with them, and they push into the pastry. But once you go really big and chunky, you would have all these bumps in here, and once it's baked off, that doesn't look so pretty anymore. So here we have two versions of sweet. See, I had this out of the fridge now for a few minutes, and it starts to be sticky. You want to try to avoid that. But nothing lost yet. We'll roll this out in shape. Stretch it a little bit again. And again, cut it in 6. If you half it first, it's a little easier to guess the width and they're not too uneven. I'm using a mayo and a sriracha sauce here mixed together. So again, we're doing the same thing we did with the apples. We're going to try to get our potatoes on here, and you see they're a little more difficult to handle. They're very thin, so we'll put a few extras on. If your potato is really big, you can cut those potatoes in half before you slice them. I have a medium-sized potato here, so really it's not too big. I didn't have to cut it. I use a whole slice. You want to try not to double up, even though it's tempting when you're impatient like I am, because it'll get in the way of rolling them up properly. I think even on a weekend, if you like cooking for your family, we have Sunday dinners here, and I always try to think of something a little different, do a little experimenting with food, and fortunately all my family likes food and is always up for trying new things. Even if they don't turn out, I'm not worried about that because they'll forgive me.
I always hear about your interesting Sunday night dinners.
Oh, you do? Well, you have to come join us for some of those. Well, I make everybody work hard, you know. It's not that I do all the work.
Well, that's fun though. That's nice family time.
I think so. I think, I think we lost that a little bit over time. Used to be I know in my house it used to be the time spent with my mom and my grandma in the kitchen, because the gentlemen in those days didn't really participate that much in kitchen cleanup, so it was the women of the house. When I was 12, 13, 14, we would do dishes after dinner, and that was our time together. We had laughs, we had real conversations. No texting while we were doing dishes. Unimaginable. And I really, I love that a lot.
Yeah.
And I think it gets lost because now we have the dishwasher, right? Everything goes in and everybody is out quickly doing whatever they're after to do after dinner. Bacon and onions along the bottom. Even though I'm tempted to stuff this full because it smells so good, don't overload it. Again, it'll get too bumpy and it won't roll up nicely.
I think I'm gonna like the bacon more than the apple.
Well, you know what I think? I think the bacon's first, and then for dessert, the apple one comes in really, really handy. We'll try them both anyway first. You see now why I wanted that bacon chopped in small pieces? Makes it easier, it goes a long way then. We'll get, I think we want a little bit of salt and pepper, gentle on the salt, because the bacon will add some, but I find if you don't give the potatoes a little bit of salt, there's something missing.
Bland.
Black pepper. Or white pepper. I'm just an addict for black pepper. I love it. So you choose whatever you prefer. Anything works. You can add a little paprika if you like. I'm going to add it in the very end when I pull them out of the oven to dust them with. So there's one not cooperating, so we'll see how that turns out. Voila. Not quite as drastic in color from your potato skin, but still a very nice rose shape.
I'm intrigued to see what they look like cooked, all nice and puffy and brown.
Yeah, the pastry works like a charm. But isn't this easy? I mean, yes, it is a little bit of work.
It's fiddly.
Not too bad.
But it's not difficult.
No, it's not at all. And I think anybody can do that. You don't have to have a lot of cooking experience. It's really, and if you want to keep it simple, just with the apple and a jam, how easy is that? Right? So we'll finish up our last 3 pieces. Look at that. That's not too bad, is it?
Those are lovely. How many different restaurants do you visit while you're in Paris to get so many fabulous ideas?
I usually only go to Paris for a week at a time, so it's very limited. And because I schedule my where am I at what time according to where the markets are, I usually buy things that I may not have ever seen or tried yet at the market and cook them. I try to find an apartment rather than a hotel room so we can cook. But we do go, I would say if we don't go for lunch, we go for dinner that day. So if I'm there 7 days, it'll be 7 places we try. These can go in the oven. The oven's preheated at 385. In they go. We're going to go on a tiny little break and come back with our roses. and we're back to come and collect our rewards after all that hard work. Christina, you hungry?
It smells wonderful.
Doesn't it? Yeah, I love it too. And here we go.
Wow.
That looks done. Nice color, not too dark. Look at that.
Beautiful.
Here are your roses.
Nice.
Now, do you remember which sequence we put them in?
Apricots, apricot jam, maple syrup, savory, savory.
You are good. So let's start with the sweets. Now we don't want to break them when we take them out. So this is our jam. I'm in a jam, can you tell? A little stuck. If you let them cool for half a minute, it becomes just a little easier to bring them out. There, they turned out beautifully.
Those look phenomenal.
Don't they? And how easy was it to make those? So these are our maple syrup from Christine's trees. 1, 2, 3. To finish it off, it looks quite pretty if you sprinkle a little icing sugar on top. There we go.
Presentation
How's
just
that?
makes all the difference.
Doesn't it?
It does.
And it's just a little bit of white. We'll do the same with the apricot one. I'll do that over my sink so we don't have the icing sugar all over the kitchen. We'll let it snow. There we go. 1, 2. And the savory ones. This is the nicest one. You're going to find probably, unless you're a much more patient person than I am, that they all turn out a little differently. They're not perfect, they're not machine made, they're all homemade.
Well, and that's what makes them
So
look beautiful.
different shapes. Rustic, let's call it. That's my excuse when
The same
something
with my
doesn't turn out
pottery.
perfect. Yeah,
I can never make
yes.
2 pieces exactly the same.
Well, that's the beauty of handmade and
Yeah.
homemade things,
Exactly.
isn't it? These are quite hot still. So you can just leave them as is, because I think they present quite nicely that way. Again, as a side, you know, instead of a baked potato or rice, you can do this as a side or as an appetizer. Works both. And I've tried a topping that I wasn't sure about, tasted it, and I quite like it. I've just mixed some paprika powder with icing sugar. So a hint of sweetness on the top doesn't do any harm. It's actually quite nice. But the seasoning comes from the paprika powder because we don't want a sweet
What an
finish. on them.
interesting combination.
But isn't it so much prettier with a little bit of a sprinkle on top,
It's beautiful.
right? So may I give you one to taste?
I would love.
Do you want to pick which one?
No, you can.
No. There you go.
Thank you.
And then of course we'll have to try the sweet ones after as well. I'll put those here. So let's put those to the test.
They smell
see how-
wonderful.
Do they? Now, of course, if you do them as an appetizer, once you've destroyed the beautiful little flower, you can always pass some sour cream with chive or any kind of dip you'd like on the side with it.
A nice
That'll
flavored
work
mayo.
just fine too. Yes, that too. Yeah, Chipotle comes to mind for me.
That is phenomenal.
It's good, isn't it? And how simple.
That is wonderful.
Okay, so we'll leave you with this, hopefully mouth-watering. And I really want you to try this at home. It is easy and look, it looks so beautiful. And now we know it tastes good too.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine.